The restaurant glowed with soft amber lights, laughter spilling from tables lined with wine glasses and half-finished desserts. It was the kind of evening meant for celebration, and for a brief moment, she believed it truly would be. Nadia sat across from her husband, her hand trembling slightly beneath the table. Her mother-in-law, Leona, watched her with that familiar, razor-edged smile, the kind that looked polite but felt like judgment disguised as grace. When the waiter poured another round of sparkling cider, Nadia decided it was time. She rose, glass in hand. "I have some news," she said, voice fluttering between nerves and excitement. "I'm pregnant." The room hushed. For a heartbeat, silence seemed to bless the air, until Leona's expression shifted. The color drained from her face. Her hand, still poised over her glass, began to shake. "What did you say?" she whispered. "I'm going to have a baby," Nadia repeated, her smile widening, desperate for warmth. But Leona stood. "No," she said, almost to herself. "This can't happen, not again." The words sliced the air like glass. Nadia's husband stammered something. Confusion, disbelief. But Leona was already moving. Her eyes burned with something raw. Not anger, not fear. Recognition. Before Nadia could step back, her mother-in-law lunged. There was the scrape of a chair, a cry, a rush of wind, and then nothing but the sky spinning, the terrace railing flashing past, the cold air wrapping around her body. As she fell, Nadia saw Leona's face above, pale, trembling, and one last sound broke through the chaos, the steady, impossible tick of a clock. Then the world went still. Wind should have screamed past her ears. The ground should have rushed up, merciless and final. But instead, nothing. Nadia hung in the air, her hair suspended like strands of glass, her dress frozen mid-flutter. Every droplet of spilled wine, every shard of a falling plate, every gasp on the terrace, all suspended, unmoving, locked in perfect stillness. The city below her gleamed as if made of crystal, its lights paused in the act of twinkling. Not a sound, not a heartbeat, except her own. Then she heard it. Tick, tick, tick. Her eyes darted to the terrace wall above, the antique clock that had hung behind Leona for years. It moved, impossibly. Its second hand trembled forward, each motion louder than thunder in the silence. Tick. The air rippled. Tick. Her body trembled, as if gravity itself was reconsidering her. With a gasp, she realized she wasn't falling anymore. She was suspended, mid-air, breathing in a world where time had simply stopped. "Hello?" Her voice cracked the silence. No echo followed. Her pulse raced faster, syncing with the rhythm of that infernal clock. The lights around her dimmed and flared again, pulsing with the beat. She tried to reach for the railing, but her hand moved like it was underwater. Slow, heavy, unreal. The clock's hands jerked once more. The sound deepened. No longer mechanical, but alive. It didn't just tick, it beat. And then, from somewhere behind her frozen fall, a whisper curled through the stillness. "Time doesn't like violence." Nadia's breath caught as the voice shimmered through the air, soft, feminine, echoing from nowhere and everywhere at once. Her heart thudded against her ribs, fighting the stillness that bound everything else. She turned, her movements sluggish, as if reality itself were resisting her curiosity. And then she saw it, her. Hovering just beyond the edge of the terrace was a woman, luminous and calm, her features hauntingly familiar. The same eyes, the same mouth, but older, wiser, carrying a sorrow that Nadia had never known. Her skin shimmered with faint blue light, like moonlight reflected in water. "Who are you?" Nadia whispered. The figure smiled. A sad, knowing smile. "I'm you," she said softly. "Or what's left of you." Nadia shook her head, disbelief breaking through fear. "That's not possible." "It wasn't supposed to be," the woman said, "until time decided to intervene. You weren't meant to die tonight. You were meant to wake up." The ticking of the clock grew louder, deeper, resonating in Nadia's bones. The air around them pulsed like a heartbeat. What does that mean? Nadia demanded. Wake up from what? The older version stepped closer, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. From the lie you've been living, from the world built around you to keep you asleep. Nadia's throat tightened. Why would anyone do that? The woman's gaze flickered. Gentle, almost pitying. Because, my dear, she whispered, if you ever remembered who you really were, the world would stop. The clock struck once, a heavy resonant sound, and cracks of light rippled through the frozen air around them. The light cracks spiderwebbed across the frozen air, glowing gold and white, like veins of lightning trapped in glass. Nadia's mind reeled. The older version of herself floated nearer, her calm face almost tender. What do you mean? The lie I've been living? Nadia asked, her voice trembling. My life is real, my husband, my home. None of it, the woman interrupted gently, was ever meant to be permanent. She raised her hand, and the air rippled like disturbed water. Images burst around them, fleeting fragments of Nadia's life, her wedding, her laughter, her mother-in-law's cold smile. Each memory flickered, distorted, like a television losing signal. They built this life for you, the woman continued. A world to keep you safe, hidden. You were never supposed to remember. Hidden from what? Nadia demanded. Her pulse thundered, her breath quickened. From yourself. The older version stepped closer, her eyes glimmering with something ancient. Every face you loved, every moment you trusted, all of it was written for you. A script. A cage. Nadia felt nausea twist in her gut. That's not true. My husband was assigned to you, the woman said softly. He doesn't know what you carry. None of them do. They think you're just a woman. But inside you is the one thing that keeps the universe moving. Nadia's heart slammed in her chest. What are you talking about? The child, her other self whispered. The one inside you. That's what they hid. That's what they fear. The clock's ticking grew thunderous, shaking the world around them. Nadia clutched her stomach, and for the first time, she felt something stir inside her, responding to the rhythm of time itself. The light flickered, and the terrace around Nadia seemed to melt like wax. The air grew heavy, shimmering with distortion. Her pulse echoed in her ears, a rhythm that no longer felt like her own. What do you mean, they fear it? Nadia demanded, clutching her stomach. It's my baby. The older version of herself tilted her head, sadness softening her glow. Yes, yours to love, but not yours to understand. What grows inside you is not merely life, it is continuity. The child you carry is the next timekeeper, a being born once every epoch to sustain existence itself. Nadia blinked, disbelief cutting through her fear. That's insane! I'm human! The woman smiled faintly. So you believe. But even now, you can feel it, can't you? The world listens when your heart beats. Time bends when you suffer. And when your mother-in-law tried to end you, time stopped, because you are the vessel. Nadia's chest tightened. Leona knew, she murmured, the realization sliced through her like ice. That's why she looked at me like that. That's why she remembered what happened before. The older self interrupted quietly. Another age, another cycle. She was there when the last timekeeper fell, and she swore it would never happen again. Nadia backed away, trembling. You're telling me my mother-in-law tried to kill me to protect time itself? No, the woman said, her voice now distant, echoing like thunder. She tried to destroy you to end it, because the moment your child is born, everything that was past and future will begin again. The world darkened around them. The ticking deepened into a pulse that wasn't sound, but existence itself. And within that pulse, Nadia heard something terrifying. A second heartbeat, perfectly in sync with her own. The air around Nadia shuddered. The frozen terrace trembled under a heartbeat she couldn't escape. Light fractured into jagged slivers, slicing through the stilled world like knives. Every surface shimmered and rippled, bending reality into impossible angles. The cracks, her older self murmured, voice calm but urgent. They are your choice. They show the limits of this illusion. The walls keeping you from what you truly are. Nadia's eyes widened. Choice? What do you mean? You can remain here, trapped in what you think is real, or you can break the world open, the figure said. You can let the truth flood in. But it will hurt. It will burn. Nothing will ever be the same. A shard of light cut through the air near Nadia's face. It felt alive, humming in resonance with her pulse. She flinched. Her stomach fluttered. The baby inside her seemed to respond, kicking sharply, a tiny shockwave that echoed across the frozen terrace. Her heart pounded. Fear, fury, and disbelief twisted together like a storm. I don't understand. How can I possibly do that? I could die. Or worse. You already nearly did, the older Nadia said softly. But dying was never the end. You've been kept here for this moment, the moment you either surrender to illusion or embrace reality. The cracks widened. Golden and silver light spilled from them, illuminating fragments of her past life. Leona's sharp smile, her husband's worried face, the warm embrace of her friends, all fractured and distorted in the rippling glow. Nadia's chest heaved. She felt the weight of every choice she'd never known she had. The frozen air seemed to pulse faster, urging her toward the unknown. Her eyes met the glow of the cracks. Then I choose, she whispered, trembling, to see the truth. The terrace trembled. Light exploded, and the world around her began to shatter. The terrace dissolved beneath Nadia's feet, like sand slipping through fingers. She felt herself falling. Not the same fall as before, but freer, untethered, as if the universe itself had exhaled and let her drop into its depths. When she opened her eyes, the world had changed. Gone were the familiar walls, the frozen waiters, the glinting city lights. She stood alone in a vast desert, the sand stretching endlessly in every direction. The sky above shifted in impossible hues, molten gold bleeding into violet, deep crimson fading into pale silver. The wind carried no sound, only a hum that resonated deep inside her chest. Her pulse had synced with it. The ticking of the terrace clock was gone, replaced by the steady rhythm of her own heartbeat, stronger and clearer than ever. She could feel it echoing in the sand beneath her, in the sky above, in the very air that seemed to bend around her. Nadia took a cautious step. Each movement left a faint glow on the sand, like the world itself was marking her presence. She bent down to touch it. A ripple of light spiraled outward with her fingertips, stretching across the endless plain. A distant cry reached her ears, soft but insistent. A baby. Her chest tightened. Fear and longing mingled together, creating a tension she could almost taste. Memories of her constructed life flickered through her mind. The tender moments with her husband, Leona's judgmental gaze, the laughter of friends, all fading like ghosts. She realized the weight of what had been hidden inside her, the secret she was carrying. The desert whispered promises and warnings in the same breath. Nadia inhaled, bracing herself. Somewhere ahead her purpose waited, and she knew nothing would ever be the same again. The desert stretched endlessly, shifting beneath a sky that rippled with molten hues. Nadia moved cautiously, her bare feet sinking into the soft sand with every step. The faint echo of a baby's cry tugged at her, distant but insistent, threading through the vast emptiness like a lifeline. Her heartbeat thundered in response, a wild rhythm that seemed to pulse in harmony with the desert itself. With every step, flashes of her past flickered around her, her husband's smile, Leona's sharp eyes, the warmth of friends, and the quiet moments she thought were hers alone. They were fragments, distorted and fading, like a dream slipping away the moment you try to hold it. Each memory whispered secrets she hadn't realized she'd been keeping, and guilt mixed with confusion surged in her chest. She paused, gripping her stomach as the baby inside stirred again, stronger this time. The cry ahead sharpened, echoing with urgency. "I'm coming," she whispered, voice trembling, swallowed by the vastness. Fear and love collided inside her, threatening to shatter her control. A mirage flickered on the horizon, a faint glow, like a lantern in the sand. She ran toward it, each step leaving luminous footprints, the light bending around her path as if the desert itself guided her. The closer she got, the more the fragments of her past seemed to fade, replaced by a new understanding. This journey wasn't just about her life. The cry intensified, desperate and raw. Nadia's breath came in ragged gasps. Her hand brushed the edge of the glow, and the desert seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere ahead, her child waited. The secret she had carried in silence, the spark that could ignite everything. And as she stepped closer, Nadia realized what she found here would change not only her life, but the very fabric of time itself. The glow ahead solidified into a shape, small, fragile, yet radiating a presence that made the desert tremble. Nadia's breath caught. There, lying on the sand, was her child, wrapped in a soft luminescence that pulsed like a heartbeat syncing with her own. The baby's eyes were closed, yet the air around it shimmered with life, as if the universe itself waited for a single, delicate moment. Nadia fell to her knees, hands trembling as she reached out. The glow spread along her fingertips, warm and electric, and a shiver ran through her spine. Every pulse of the child's tiny chest sent waves through the desert, rippling the sand and bending the colors of the sky. Time itself felt fluid here, alive, waiting for her touch. "Hello," she whispered, voice breaking. The words seemed inadequate, feeble against the magnitude of what she faced. Her heart swelled with love, fear, awe, and an unnameable terror, a mix that made her feel both infinite and insignificant. The child stirred, a faint cry escaping its lips, pure and resonant. In that sound, Nadia felt centuries and epochs fold into a single point. She realized this was no ordinary birth. With each breath, the child was knitting reality together, weaving the moments of past, present, and future into a single thread. She placed the infant in her arms. The glow intensified, surrounding her, pulsing through every fiber of her being. Seasons flickered in the air around them, winter to summer, day to night, as if the universe itself exhaled. Nadia rocked the child gently, a single, astonishing truth settling in her chest. She was no longer just a mother. She had become the anchor of time itself, a living bridge between what had been and what must be. And with one final, shared heartbeat, the world began to breathe again. Nadia stood in the desert, the infant cradled against her chest, and for the first time silence felt alive. The sky above shimmered with impossible colors, gold, violet, crimson, and silver, all swirling like a living painting. Each breath she took sent tiny ripples through the sand, resonating with the rhythm of the child she held. She realized the magnitude of what she had become. Not a mother in the ordinary sense, but a vessel, a guardian, a heartbeat that tied the past, present, and future together. The timekeeper in her arms was not just a child. It was the thread of existence, the pulse that kept reality itself from unraveling. Every choice, every life she had once thought was hers alone, had led to this moment. Her thoughts drifted briefly to Leona, to the husband and friends who had been part of her constructed past. Every betrayal, every lie, every hidden secret now seemed part of a larger pattern, a design she was only beginning to comprehend. She understood, with a bittersweet ache, that the people she loved and lost were echoes, reflections of a story that had been waiting for her awakening. The child stirred, opening tiny eyes that shimmered like galaxies. Nadia felt a surge of awe and love that defied words. The desert no longer seemed empty. It thrummed with life, potential, and infinite possibility. As she held the timekeeper close, she felt her own heart and the pulse of the universe merge into one. The clock that had once ticked on a restaurant terrace now beat within her chest, steady, eternal, and infinite. Nadia whispered to the child, to time itself, "We begin again." And in that instant, everything, past, present, and future, began anew.